Hey guys, Peepo here, and today's video is going to be about this new StringKing TypeW mesh that I have strung up into the newer Legend W head. Just right off the bat, this is a complete mesh. This is not a runner or anything like that, just a complete piece of mesh. I had to, here we are. Anyway, complete piece of mesh, and it's not a huge change from if somebody's trying to use a full regular piece of mesh like some people have been. I believe the weave for this is type 2. It doesn't look like it has the twists or anything like that going on with it, which is okay. I mean, you got a lot of other stuff, a decent amount of other stuff going on with this, and you don't, I mean, I don't know, maybe later on type 2W is going to have twists and stuff, but they had to figure out how the concepts that I'm going to go over here in a second are going to play into the mesh as well as the pockets later on. I believe it only comes in semi-soft, which is fine. You don't need a harder mesh in girls' heads. It doesn't overstretch or anything like that. You might have to pull, if you're stringing it into a Legend W head or a slightly wider top scoop head, you might have to really stretch the mesh, but as you can see, it stretches well enough if you know what you're doing. Definitely recommend doing a double wrap for your starting on your sidewall as well as your top string. You can do regular top strings as if it's an actual boy's head, but it's obviously a girl's head. So strings up really easy. You don't have to stretch too much. Honestly, if your concept of stringing involves you pulling those first few things super tight, you're doing it wrong in a girl's head. Personally, that's how I feel, because with most girls' heads, your sweet spot needs to be up higher in the pocket. As you can see, higher in the pocket. I have it up in the upper third. Everybody that like wants guys' heads to have that high pocket, I need high pocket, low whip. That's all I hear when I hear guys say they need a high pocket, unless you're a D-pole. But with a girl's head, you have to have a high pocket. If you're stringing it up and the ball's sitting right around here, you don't want that. You don't want it low. You definitely want it high, and that brings us into the actual technology that is involved in this mesh. This mesh, as you can see, transitions from regular diamonds to a very close-knit, not very stretchy area of diamonds. Now, this is supposed to help with the fact that girls' heads, the ball is not allowed to go below the plastic. I just barely make it there. Just barely. But the ball is not supposed to be going below the top of the plastic. If you have that happen, you need to rearrange it. I'm probably going to have to rearrange this just slightly to adjust for that. But with that concept, if you have a regular piece of mesh and you haven't cut it or adjusted it or anything, if you have a regular piece of mesh, it's likely going to be illegal going lower into the head with the ball. So this idea of bringing the mesh closer together is just basically what the idea of what people are doing by cutting regular pieces of mesh and wasting material is, just bringing the mesh closer together so it naturally creates a nice tight bottom area, because girls' heads don't really need it to be loosey-goosey at the bottom. The sweet spot's up nice and high, especially with this mesh. It's their 17.5 millimeter, I believe, is their diamond size for StringKing. Personally, I would have probably tried to figure out a way to where the mesh is weaved closer here, and then maybe make a couple diamonds of 6D somehow in the middle. I mean, I haven't worked with a textile machines, which is what they use, because textile is what makes your clothing. I think if you could figure out a way to do that to where it's just a spot, not running the whole, like maybe not going halfway and then halfway, I would say if there's a way to figure it out to where like there's just a diamond, like so these two here going down diagonally and then going back in, if you could make that like somehow make it 8 diamond sized diamonds or 20 mil sized diamonds in there to where it's just a diamond of it for that sweet spot. That would be really cool. But with what we have as a the finished product of TypeW from StringKing, I think we're okay with what we're going for. Again, you don't want to pull this super tight down because then your pocket's going to shift lower. It's going to sit right there. You want it to more or less be, you want it to kind of have a little bit of tautness up here, but you don't want it super taut to where it's not malleable. You want the girl's head to have, especially with this mesh, to sit up nice and high. And I'll just show you pretty much what a prototype that I got at LaxCon was like. So there was no, it was just kind of solid down there. Didn't really give or anything, which it was also too high up in the mesh. So if we were going to string it, the mesh changes right about here in the head. It was maybe 2-3 diamonds too high, and so the ball wasn't able to really move around too much and be malleable and work with the pocket. The pocket was kind of working against you with the prototype. Same diamonds and everything up top. I really don't know what to call it, but we'll just call it, I don't know. I can't think of a name. The lower section of the TypeW prototype was just not quite there. It was too high up in the pocket, so on and so forth. And then they came out with the final version, which it actually stretches. It's just shorter connection spaces horizontally between the mesh. Whereas up here, it's nice and flexy. You get closer to the bottom, it doesn't stretch as much, but it still stretches and is malleable, so it allows the pocket to really move and adjust. And it's lower in the pocket so that you can actually have that sweet spot be more malleable, have the ball be able to move around just a little bit, and really just sit there instead of kind of fighting against the ball. So all in all, TypeW, great concept for a full mesh pocket in the girls' game, because there's plenty of people cutting up their mesh. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend that. I would just say screw it and go get a piece of TypeW if you want an all mesh pocket without having any sort of corner pocket setup or anything like that. I mean, you have your Venom centerpieces from ECD, but that's more of a traditional setting. If you're female and you would like, or play girls lacrosse or coach girls lacrosse, and you'd like an actual mesh pocket, this is a really good option for you as far as their first final product for the women's game for mesh. So good job, StringKing. I definitely really like it. I like the improvements from the prototype. You really listen to people's critiques, not so much complaints, but their critiques of your product, and I think you guys came out with something that will be very competitive on the market. I wouldn't say it's my favorite because I'm more of a traditional guy. I like the way that the leathers work with the ball. But if you want a full mesh pocket, this is probably currently your best option for a full mesh pocket to string yourself. Now, like I said, you don't want it too tight up top, not like a guy's. We want it not too loose also, but we want that ball to sit in that upper third, and this allows you to do that. You pull your bottom string real tight once you figure out your side patterns and everything, and it wasn't too difficult to figure out what I wanted to do with this mesh. The prototype, it was a little more a little harder for me to figure it out, but with that, after a prototype and getting the final product, again, really good concept. So check out the TypeW. It should be around the same price as their regular mesh for guys, which is around $25 for the mesh. It might be sitting around $20 once it's released, I think in March, which is right around the corner. So if you need mesh, there you go. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got a little bit of information out of this about the girls' game. If you're not a girl watching this video, or a female watching this video, or you don't play or coach females, I hope you guys learned a little bit, because we need a little bit more stuff out there for girls lacrosse. I wish I had a little bit more girls stuff to talk about. I'm gonna have to change that personally. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll check you later.